Hey there, Jaime here, and I'm taking a look at the company analysis project description and making this little video to show you how to find a company that's going to work for the project. So here are the 7 criteria for companies that you want to use for your project. It needs to be publicly traded on a US exchange, needs to pay dividends, and it should have paid dividends in each of the last 5 years at a minimum. It needs to have long-term debt. It needs to have paid interest and taxes in each of the last 7 years. It should not have any preferred stock, and it needs to have at least 7 years of financial statements available through the database Mergent online, and I'll show you how to find that. And lastly, it needs to be something that no one else has already chosen. So let's take a look at first the company sign-up sheet, Google Doc. You can see what's been chosen, and you want to not choose those. And here's a short list of the requirements. So I have 2 websites open that I like to use. The first is Yahoo Finance. It's not quite as detailed, but sometimes it's easier to see things that you're looking for. The second thing is the Mergent online database. And to get there, you're at the HSU library webpage, and then underneath the search and locate tab, you select articles and databases. This will take you to a list of databases by subject, and you're going to want business. Once you're in business, under this highly recommended database section, there's Mergent Online, which will provide you everything financial and some things otherwise. So once you're here, you're going to type in some companies' names. If you're not sure what kind of company you want to do, there's 2 things I'd suggest doing. The first would be doing a Google search for something along the line of S&P 500 list. Then you can look at the list of S&P 500 companies. There's 500 here. Many of them are going to meet the criteria. The other thing you could do is if there's a company that you know and love, you can search up Abercrombie ticker symbol and get their ticker symbol, ANF, and use that to look up and see if they meet the criteria for your company. So you'll know some ticker symbols, maybe you won't, but you can start typing things in. So my first choice is Lululemon. I type the word in, I hit go, and I get a company. Here we go. When I select on it, it takes me to the business summary page. But if I'm trying to find out about dividends, long-term debt, taxes and interest, and preferred stock, I need to look at the company financial statements. When you click on the financial statements, you get a lot of different choices. But the things to start with is we need 7 years. So let's just start here. And an easy place to look is on the standardized statement. So Lululemon has 7 years of statements. Check. The second thing that I want to know is if they pay dividends, have long-term debt, and have no preferred stock. So let's see. Here on the balance sheet, I can look for long-term debt. It's not very well organized, right? So now that I know that they have 7 years, I pop over to Yahoo Finance because that's where the easy things are going to be. Well, that's where it's going to be easy to see things. On the first page, which is just a summary, it tells us things like their share price, but I can look right here, forward and dividend yield. That means they don't pay dividends, right? So they're a no-go. I'll proceed anyway to show you the financial statements. And if we take a look at their balance sheet, we're going to look for long-term debt and preferred stock. So long-term debt, oh, they don't even have any debt. They don't have long-term debt. Wah, wah, wah. No dividends, no long-term debt. Lululemon is a no-go. Down here under stockholders' equity, I can also see that they don't have preferred stock, right? So that would be good, but they already don't meet so many of my criteria that we can't use them. So I'm going to go back to Mergent, and I'm going to take a look at another company. So I can change the company up here. Lululemon was a bomb. Let's try Amazon. Amazon.com Incorporated. Right away I can see 7 years. Let's take a look. I'm going to scroll down to see if it's obvious that there is long-term debt and leases. That is going to be my long-term debt. And then to see if they pay dividends, I can scroll down. I can change. Sorry, I'm going to scroll down here. Ignore me. Don't really ignore me. Cash flow statement, and I'm going to look for cash flows from financing. It doesn't say here. Let's just pop over to Yahoo where everything is easy to read. Amazon. And again, I'm going to look at the financial statements. And if I want to look for dividends, it's going to be under the statement of cash flow. And dividends are a cash flow from financing activities. So here we go. Financing activities, dividends paid, none. Wah, wah, wah. Amazon, again, does not work. Right? I need to find something that does work. I had planned on looking at the New York Times. That was my first choice. You can see this is tedious, right? I'm showing you me looking for all of these companies because you're going to have to do it too. And the New York Times, let's check them on Yahoo too, because they seem like they're a great company, right? They have, look on the balance sheet, they have long-term debt. Woohoo! They do not have preferred stock. Triple woohoo, double woohoo, however many that was. And then let's look at the statement of cash flows. Financing activities, they have dividends paid, right? It looks like I'm doing well. I'm feeling excited. I actually even wrote the New York Times in. But then, you know what happened? I went to Mergent and I scrolled down and I saw that they paid dividends not for at least 5 years. And from looking at this payment of dividends, I can see that they were not probably a dividend paying company. Then they paid a small dividend. Then they started paying these big dividends, or paying a lot of money in dividends. And that is not going to be conducive to my project, right? I want at least 5 years of dividends. So I had to go back to the company spreadsheet. I tried to grab Nike. It's already been taken. So I had to come up with something else. And what I did, last but not least, is Nordstrom's. It's got 7 years under Yahoo. On the balance sheet, I'll see they have long-term debt. They do not have preferred stock. I'm going to go back to Mergent. Check the statement of cash flows. Look at their dividends in all of the years. Okay, good. That's as far as I've gotten so far. Can I use them? There's one more thing I want to look at. I want to make sure, by looking at the income statement, that they have paid interest expense. They've been paying interest income. So a negative interest income is an interest expense. And taxes, taxation, every year. That's because we need to estimate a tax rate and an interest rate. So to estimate our tax rate, we need to use interest income and income tax. This is a good company. I am calling it. I am using Nordstrom Inc. Good luck finding something. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm happy to help you find something if you need a little help.